Hi, my name is Christina Adams. This is the place where we talk about God, Christianity, and life. Right now, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why not to trust God blindly. But first, I want to tell you about my step-by-step 4-week plan to trusting God. If you have ever struggled with trusting God, you want to trust Him, you just don't know how to start, then you should check out my 4-week plan. It starts off at an easy pace, some quick tasks that are easy for you to do each day, and it builds on the prior week so that by the end of the 4 weeks you will have a series of evidence of God working in your life that will give you the ability to trust Him more, hopefully. And I've included the link for how you can get the copy of it in the description below, so check it out. All right. When I was younger, I heard this, there was this idea about trusting God blindly, as if we were supposed to have faith in God, but we weren't supposed to know why things happened, or if we were going in the right direction, or if God was going to do the right thing. We just were supposed to trust Him, and to trust Him blindly. However, while this idea has some things that are partly true about it, it's also mostly wrong, and it's wrong for 3 reasons. First, God may want us to trust Him, and this is where it is partly right, without knowing the outcome or why, but not knowing the outcome or why something is happening does not mean that we are trusting Him blindly. We're always trusting God because of who He is, not because of what He's going to do. That seems to be something that we often conflate the two, that we need to know what's going to happen rather than who is going to do what. And when we understand that God, His character, is compassionate and gracious and slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, that He is forgiving of sin, wickedness, and rebellion, but that He does not leave the guilty unpunished, and that if we understand what that means and what He does, then it is so much easier to trust Him. And we're not actually trusting that what He will do, we're just trusting that He will do the right thing in the right way at the right time. So, number 2, God doesn't want us to trust Him blindly. When God called the Israelites out of Egypt, He specifically acted in ways that the Israelites could see and experience. He would say that so you may know, so that you may experience that I am God. He said this at a whole bunch of different places, like at least 15 that I've counted so far, like Exodus 4:5, Exodus 4:30 through 31, Exodus 9:14 through 20, verse 29, 10:1 through 2, 11:7, 9, 8 through 9. There's a whole bunch more. I can list them in the description if you want. But in all of these passages, God is specifically giving a people who do not really know Him experiences about Him acting in their lives so that they will trust Him. 3, trust is actually never blind. It's always based on some form of reliable experiences. While there are times when we don't actually need to know why and to just trust, this kind of trust is not truly blind because we're trusting in God's character and in His wisdom to do what is right, even when we don't know what's going on. Have you ever heard of the expression of trust being compared to a chair, normally the chair you're sitting in? I would hear this often in youth groups and from various speakers. They would always compare, faith or trust to the chair you're sitting in, and how you're sitting in it in such a way that if the chair wasn't there, you would fall or you would be hurt in some way. But that analogy, I remember thinking that I just couldn't understand, how was it compared to God, and why was it that I couldn't seem to have the same kind of trust in God as I did the chair I was sitting in. And I realized after a while of thinking about it that the analogy of the chair, my experience with chairs was that 99.98% of all the chairs that I've ever sat in my whole life, they all worked. And they worked in the way I was expecting them to work. And my experience with God was not like that. And I was trying to figure out why. And what I came to understand is that I had been trained how to sit in a chair. I had been trained as to what a chair was and as to the right and proper use of a chair. I no longer did somersaults onto a chair. I no longer sat upside down in them. I no longer flipped them upside down and tried to jump on them. There were a whole bunch of things that I don't do with chairs anymore because I was trained how to interact with them. And the same is true of God. We haven't been as in the same way. We haven't been taught who God is, how to interact with him, what's the right way of approaching him, the right way of working with him. And we haven't learned how to do that. And because of that, we're interacting with him in the ways that are not right. If we lived in a world where no one knew what a chair was or the right way to use a chair, we would have all sorts of people being hurt by chairs and not understanding why. And they would have this bitter issue with chairs just because, well, chairs don't work. But they don't work because those people hadn't been trained how to interact with them in the way that was right, in the way the chairs were designed to be used. And the same is true for God. So, have you ever gotten the impression that trusting in God was a blind leap of faith? Or have you ever even heard of the chair faith illustration? If so, let me know in a comment below. Also, if you would like to get a copy of my free step-by-step 4-week plan to trusting God, check out the link below. I'll talk to you later. God bless. Bye.